Greetings, community. It's me, Kevin, from One Two Talk, along with Christy Shin. Hi, Christy. It's been a
Hi.
long time since I've seen you.
Yeah, like 20 minutes ago. Okay.
We've been busy, and I am very grateful for one, the awesome interview that was bestowed upon us by Mr. Rodney Barnes.
Yes.
Two, the amazing display of how to run a Kickstarter and basically how to be an awesome co-host. So I appreciate that. And
Thank you.
today, right now, what we're going to do is we're going to finish up the day by introducing two other gentlemen to give us a kind of a feeling of what it's like to go through, one, a shutdown, two, how to deal with that time of that, I guess, almost limbo time period. And then three, where are we at as far as new comic books day coming in, publishing, receiving the stuff, trying to get people back into the shops and feel confident that you can do so. So I am going to bring in first June of the Comic Bug. Hey, June.
Hey, Kevin, Christy. We're back.
It's great to see you,
New
sir.
comics are here. Let's do
are.
this.
Yay.
And how about we bring in Ed?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Ed.
Good to see you. How you guys doing?
Great to see you, sir. It's a privilege to again see you, unfortunately, virtually. But it's nice to see that you're healthy, and I hope you and your family are doing the same.
Yeah, I've gained 20 pounds, but I've no gyms to exercise, so I've gained a little bit of weight. But other than that, pretty good. I'm just glad, I've had a smile. I've had a smile on my face the whole week because I was able to see customers and talk to them and sell them comics. It's one of the greatest. It's you don't understand how much you miss it after 3 months of not doing it face to face.
Right. Yeah.
Wait a sec, Ed.
You know
said
what,
something about a gym or working out. We're comic book people, really?
I lost 65 pounds last year, so I don't know about you. I've been exercising a lot.
I'm doing okay. I haven't gained weight, so I guess it's not bad.
Oh, I have.
Wow.
This stuff, is earned.
I think it's expected. There's a lot of people that unfortunately have not, how should I say, been able to get to their normal routine. So they've been putting on a couple pounds in exchange.
I kind of.
I enjoy taking it off, so I enjoy punishing myself, so that's fine. I almost did it on purpose. I could have run around the block, but I decided not to.
Wow. It's an easy decision, actually.
For me, I had a major procedure done last year, so that kind of helps to keep things down.
Oh yeah, diseases are great for losing weight.
Yeah, but Christy, that's not fair. You can't take out 3 pounds of organs and say you lost 3 pounds. Come on.
Is that how much it weighs?
Oh,
I don't know. I'm just trying to help you out there.
Yeah, it's kind of like you wake up I can only eat so much. All right, let's go to bed.
Yeah. Ed, if you don't know, Christy had her whole insides rearranged. So, food doesn't mean anything to her now. She drinks, one cup of something, she's full. So,
yeah, it's oh well.
Yeah. I might want to do that.
Science.
Yeah. All right, let's talk some business.
Let's get into this here. Here we go. So, let's start with Ed. Ed, being that you're new to us in the sense that we've got a little touch and a little flavor of this June because this is his second time returning to us. But I'm going to ask you a question I asked June before, which was, how were you feeling business was doing leading up this point of shutdown? I mean, if you were to kind of give a feedback of how you felt business was doing in the comic industry, how well do you feel it was doing?
Well, there's two answers. How the comic book industry was doing and how we were doing. We were doing great. We've had a couple of really good years. Not only that, I just came back right before this whole thing started. I came back from Comics Pro, and at Comics Pro, I arranged some incredible stuff that was going to make my year the best year ever. This is the first year that we went to Comics Pro's 3 stores. the only store in LA that has 3 stores. The only company, the comic book store chain, I guess. And so publishers kind of were very happy to talk to me, and I arranged some crazy stuff for things like Free Comic Book Day and after, and I had events going 2 to 3 a month for the rest of the year, and big names too. And then all of that kind of, you know what happened. So as far as how we're doing fine. We have never had, you know, the ups and downs don't affect us as much because we do business a little differently. Our subscriptions are done online. All customers have control over their subscriptions. We order based on those numbers. So as it goes up and down, we adjust. And most of our business comes from graphic novels and other stuff anyway. So I believe in perennial business. We're bookstores.
So that's pretty much what June had reported before, is that he felt that the industry in itself was doing rather strong, and that, you know, and he felt that as far as his 2 shops, he was doing all right. And to touch on what you just made mention, which I didn't actually get to tell the community, Collector's Paradise is actually 3 shops. It's not just 1 shop. It's a shop based in, now correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, if you could tell the community where your 3 shops are located.
Yeah, we have the original shop was opened in 1994 in Winnetka, which is like around West Hills, Canoga Park area, right by Pierce College. So that one is about 26 years ago. Then 10 years ago, we opened our second store in Pasadena, right by the old what do they call it? Old Town Pasadena, off of Del Mar and Aurora Parkway. And just last August, we took over a location that used to be called Blast Off Comics, right in the heart of the NoHo Art District. So that became our 3rd store. So we're running 3 stores now. Which
is right down the street from the Academy of Arts and Sciences, for reference.
Literally,
so you have an understanding of where it's at.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. I've worked there right down the street. It's how I know the shop. And that was where I first got to do my first donation, you know. So another thing to the community, this is another reason why these brick and mortar shops are so integral to our communities, is that beyond just selling us comics, they're raising events. They're doing things for the community. So I was there to donate comic books. That was the first time why I went to North Hollywood. So just to give you an understanding of how important these brick and mortar shops are, it goes on that. So again, now I want to kind of take both and ask both of you this question, which is, how were you guys managing during your shutdown? What was your normal procedure that you were going through? And I'll start with you again, Ed, and then I'll move over to you, June.
Okay. We were very active. To be honest, we never skipped a beat. We were doing curbside in the beginning. Then we were stopped from doing that. We were trying to do it as long as possible, and then somebody called the police on us at all 3 locations, and we were forced to close all 3 stores. And then myself and my partner basically became a mail order house from inside our main store. We've done mail order for years. I mean, we have lots of customers doing mail order with us, and plus we have eBay and Amazon sales and all that stuff. So that was pretty easy. And we just basically started shipping stuff to our customers. We started doing tours of the stores. You know, call us up. We'll tell you where everything is. We'll give you suggestions, recommendations, ship the stuff for you. $40, you get free shipping. And we were shipping 20, 30 packages a day, minimum, plus all the other stuff, plus all the online orders. eBay actually increased pretty dramatically during that time because people were sitting at home. And then somewhere like after the first couple of weeks, we decided to get even more active, and that's where we created that curated product. I don't know if you've heard of it, which is basically like a blind box purchase product that you buy online for $50 shipped to your door, and we curate graphic novels to you based on publishers or genres or age rating. And we thought we were hoping to sell 20, 30 boxes, ended up doing over 200 boxes.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah. So it became a giant thing. A lot of creators on social media retweeted it. I think people appreciate the fact we were very active during this time and not just shut down and kind of took a small mini vacation. And so we ended up doing okay. I mean, we were never we never skipped a beat, and then went back recently went right back into curbside pickup, and this week went right on Wednesdays open for shopping. So I can't say we didn't suffer. I mean, the amount of business was nowhere near our usual amount of business, but at least it paid bills, and at least it paid employees something. You know what I mean? We never not paid any of every single of our employees got paid every week of the shutdown something.
Nice.
Whether they worked or not.
And June, how were you handling your shutdown situation?
Yeah, so similar to Ed. And before I start this out, just want to say, Ed, if you haven't been to his shops, they're beautiful, well organized, clean, and he does a lot of stuff for charity too. So he's a great shop. So Collector's Paradise, you guys got to check him out. And just like him,
check in the mail.
Yeah, and we also had other stuff planned out also, but COVID kind of ruined it. I think we had signings set up with Alan Moore, Jim Lee, Joe Quesada. I think we had the whole cast of Avengers was going to come for Free Comic Day. We were working on it. We're actually working on it, all the actors, but it just kind of fell through. So I'll try for next year. But kind of like what Ed says, we have 2 locations and we do a lot of in-store sales. The mail order was really secondary.
Where are your locations at?
Oh yes, in Manhattan Beach and Culver City.
Okay.
Our main store is in Manhattan Beach, and our other store is in Culver City. But yes, mail order and eBay sales was kind of secondary. But once COVID happened, we had done a ton of sales. Probably not to the scale of Ed, but this guy works like 23 hours a day, and I don't want to do that. And he has a family too, so I don't know what the
My family doesn't like me. That's why I do.
Wait, your family doesn't even know you.
I have 2 teenage girls. They hate me.
They're like, you're not my dad. Who are you?
That's right. All that work you're doing is going into the future counseling that you're going to need with your family, but it's okay.
What's anything about future?
But Leo, just like him, we've been doing mail orders, and a lot of it. We also have been paying all our employees something to help them out. We're doing well. We know we'll do well after the end of all this, but they all needed help also. So we continue paying. Some of them did a little bit of work from home. But prior to all this, business is great. Book sales were going up. We were expecting this to be a better year even than last year, and we've been going up. So I think a lot of the good stores out there are doing what we can for our customers, and hopefully we'll take care of them now and continue to take them afterwards instead of potentially losing them to online distributors who can sell them at a significantly lower price. So I think by keeping a great store and continuing our great customer service, they'll come back. But things are looking good.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Sorry.
As far as the business coming back in, and now that you guys are starting to receive books, can you kind of give a feel to the community how that's all working out? Because we know that there's a new dynamic because of the result of what has happened. And I'm not asking necessarily to get into detail, and in no means we try to be as static as possible on this show. So in no means am I trying to have anybody point any fingers. I'm just saying, how are you guys addressing the new dynamic in which that you're distributing or receiving your distribution comics, and then how in turn is that affecting your business? And I'll start with you, Ed.
Honestly, this has taught me on that end. This has taught me that what I've been doing, I should do more. We have always focused on more independent publishers, on promoting publishers outside of Marvel, DC sphere, because those books sell and don't need to be promoted. And now, with both publishers taking very interesting approaches, is the lightest way I can say it. The way they treat the direct market. I will continue to do what I'm doing, except I'm going to put more effort and more money and more employee time into it, because I know for sure now that I have to be Marvel and DC independent as far as my stores. I can no longer rely on those two publishers to save me and to pay my bills. Their priorities are elsewhere, more DC than Marvel. Marvel has taken a quiet and careful approach and did some stuff. I mean, I think probably cut back too much, but at least they didn't do things that I really disagreed with. I think DC Comics as a publisher has done some things over the last couple of months that I find very morally questionable. And I will be focusing away from promoting their product. I will sell it. I'm not saying anything crazy. I will not make it subscriber only or anything like that. I will just not focus my marketing efforts and other efforts to promote their product. I will give a lot more of my time to publishers like Boom Studios, who are at the forefront of relations with retailers and know where the market is headed and want to make sure that print comics survive and that we'll be part of that. That's all it is. And there's Vault, who's doing some amazing stuff for retailers. In the last couple of weeks, they've announced. There's a few others. Aftershock is a good company that I love the people and I want to deal with them. So I'll be making some major changes to bring in a lot more product from that end and maybe cut back on some of my orders from the other end.
And to you, June?
Yeah, to echo what Ed's saying, I guess about a month ago, so we have to do FOC, which is our final order to confirm how many copies we want of our comics to ship, which is usually 3 weeks later. So that was pretty scary times. It was pretty nerve-wracking. We don't know what the demand was at the time, but since we've opened, we are very surprised at the demand coming in. In fact, in echoing what Ed said, Marvel put out could have put out a few more titles. I think they could be a little bit more, put out more products, but I like their approach. The interest in a lot of the DC has been there, but we've been selling out of most of our comics for the last 2 weeks. It's been coming out. So we, on the other hand, under ordered because we weren't sure what the demand was. But also to support Ed in the indies publishers, especially like Boom. So we give props to Ross Ritchie, who's doing a great job, and he comes into our shops and asks us how things are going. And Image, of course, too, which made all their comics returnable. So we lots of props to those independent publishers. And Ed, I'm not sure how your stores are lined up, but our independent section takes up about 60% of our wall space.
Well, if you add Image to the independent, it's probably closer to 60, 70%.
Right. So kind of like him, we focus mainly on the indies, and we are going to support them as they supported us, the retailers, during this time, and helping us by giving increased discounts. But a lot of it is making them books returnable. So it takes a lot of the risk out of only the retailer's hands. We all share the risk. So we thank them for all they've done. And people are coming in. We're selling out of our comics, and some of it is kind of my fear of there won't be business, but it's there. So yes, we're moving on, and things are getting there.
I have a question for you, Christy, in this, because you're in a unique position. And what I mean that is, Christy, you're both dealing with shops as an artist creator, owning your own studio, Kickstarter, as an individual that's doing all this. You're in a unique position in the sense that you're both an individual that's dealing with the shops as a professional. You're also a person that's buying from the shops. You're also an individual that has to keep a pulse on what's going on with distribution and publishing. And I'm curious, what's your opinion on everything that's been transpiring as far as what you know about, how all this is happening? Because like I said, most people are not have the unique ability to talk to someone in your unique position.
Well, I mean, for me, it's like I have my own distribution chain. I use KDP for printing out my comics. It's kind of like what's kind of following the trend versus what's cheaper versus like what's an independent supply chain. And I don't think if you look at either of those independently, I think it's a bit faulty. Like how Ed was talking about, oh yeah, like I did all these other things, but I figured I should focus on this a little more. Like mail order kind of kept him afloat. It helped pay, and as he had to adjust his business to the current pandemic, he had ways to fall back on, where some stores were like, oh, we never did mail order at all. We got to go build that up now. Well, he's been kind of building everything up. And even though the pandemic, like maybe mail order wasn't like as much of a business as it is, face to face, at least gave him an idea of like what he could fall back on. And he had something to fall back on rather than somebody that never cultivated that at all. And I kind of have to do that with mine. Like I offer signed copies of my comic for a little extra for me to personally sign and ship to people, along with some of my product and everything on my shop. So I had to I updid my shop and I made it simple so it could take credit cards and stuff rather than this whole patchwork thing. And it actually worked pretty well. I mean, I've gotten some sales because, when we couldn't sit there and talk to each other, I had to do that. But even then in my Kickstarter, I have a retailer version. That was actually recommended to me by Eddie D'Angelini from Heidi Ho. He said, like, if you have a retailer version, we can totally do that. And so I would do it and he'd get the books and he'd have them shipped directly from Amazon to him. So it's like, it's good to have KDP as a thing, because not only here are they in the US, and I haven't tried them yet internationally, but I could, like, if I was going to a con internationally, I could buy author copies of the books if I couldn't carry a bunch of them and ship them over to any of the contacts in England. So it's kind of like I'm using my own publishing house. And I know the trend for a while is run a Kickstarter, get your books published overseas. Well, now that's a big issue right now because we have no ideas for the relationships with China in this moment, or like the speed of delivery. Now that's been compromised. Now with small things, like I have my pins manufactured in China by a very good company, and I've kind of kept tabs on them because I do have a pin in the Kickstarter. So I'm like, so how are we looking at this? But they've always been good with me. I've had 2 or 3 years of a relationship with them. They were a referral. They were highly recommended. So I still talk to them. But it's kind of like I set up my supply chain where it was sort of like I prepped it. So if I had a lot more demand, I wouldn't be screwed. Like I wouldn't say, oh, it's coming from China. Oh no. And it's caught in this weird limbo because they were talking with Amazon how they were shipping things that were from China or had been imported from China. And it's like this whole like weird sort of gouging thing, et cetera, for other products. But with me, at least I had a pretty steady supply chain. Now, Amazon was compromised a little bit, but it wasn't like no one was ever getting it. It was just going to be delayed. And it was up to Amazon to let them know, hey, or it was up to them to let them know, hey, it's being shipped to you directly, if they just wanted to buy the book directly. So it's like.
As far as, I'm sorry.
No, go on.
Well, so as far as you're concerned, things have just been kind of on a delay pattern, and it's not been able to just, I guess, the jostle of the industry is just kind of slowed things down, and that you just found that there's a slowing or a refiguring out of how things are supposed to be done, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's just, I think the supply chains have changed, considering this pandemic, considering the nature of it. I think personally, like as a creator, it's weird to kind of juggle all that at the same time, but I do. And it's sort of like I kind of focus, not necessarily my creativity, but projects around that. Like I already know what I'm working with. Like, okay, I work with KDP. This is the set of parameters that I have to work with. I have my enamel pins. This is the set of parameters I got to work with. And like I did another thing, like the Dusty face mask bandana. And in that time, I never did clothing before, but I was like, okay, I want to get American made just because I just don't want to deal with the complications of importation and all that as much as possible. And I think shirts, or in this case, bandanas, are going to be much more of a thing. And so I checked around. I mean, it was just looking around, and I consulted with some of the people. They gave me good quotes. They gave me an idea, like, and not having the knowledge of how to do screen printing helped. So having an idea from other people that have done it before, due to my own personal experience, I got sent a sample. I tested it out. So it's like, now it's kind of figuring out what is the easiest way and least complicated way to do it. I'm very much a KISS thing, like keep it simple, stupid. Like I don't want to involve too much other extraneous bits if I don't have to. So I think this is what this pandemic has taught us, is kind of like, okay, what's the simplest way to get
streamline?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Edward, I have to ask both you and June, actually. Now that some things are kind of trickling in, one, are you getting some of your back orders in? And two, have you now finally timeline of the adjusted orders to come in from both DC and Marvel and everyone else?
Yeah. So one of the first things we did when we knew the shops were going to get closed down is I called Diamond and asked them to move everything, all the shipping addresses to my home. All 3 stores started shipping to my house. I live in a pretty nice, I live in an area that's pretty safe, but since we were not going to be at the stores every day, I couldn't expect Diamond to deliver packages there. So that kind of, and apparently we were one of the first people to do that, because Diamond, like 2 days later, sent out a memo saying, "Oh, if anybody wants to send stuff to their houses, let us know and we'll arrange it for you." So right after I talked to Nance at Diamond, that happened. So we did that. Everything is slowly started to trickle in. We had a lot of orders that were in the queue when Diamond shut down, and I actually proactively called Diamond and asked them to send me a list. And they sent me a list of what was sitting there that was able to get shipped. And I told them, "Here, cancel these. These I'll take now. If you don't mind, keep these for when we relaunch." And they were very accommodating, and it worked out. And so last week and this week, a lot of stuff that I ordered that I said I'll want later has started coming, and it's fine. It's fine because customers are coming in and they're hungry for product. So I don't mind that at all. We've been doing a lot of direct ship orders where you lose a small percentage, but you just have to have stock, because we've been doing mail order for like 3 months, and especially on graphic novels, we've been selling hundreds a week, and without ability to restock. So we've been shuffling stock from 3 stores to come to the 1 store we were shipping from, and so it became it thinned us out really bad. So we're doing a lot of reorders right now to try to at least get the most important items back in stock, which is a good thing. Look, it's a good problem to have.
Oh, sure. It beats the alternative.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good
with you, June. I mean, how's this? I mean, you received scheduling and you received your back orders.
You know what? I'm just gonna say, yeah, what Ed said is what I did.
You should let it.
But I mean, no. I mean, as far as like scheduling, did you receive? Because I ended up doing a interview earlier this week with a gentleman who did not know the IDW schedule that had dropped. I had posted the schedule for IDW's scheduling as far as each issue coming out for the next 3 months.
Right. Well, but all of that has kind of changed. We have plenty of customers asking for certain comics and every week, but everything has completely changed. So, I personally don't even know exactly all the schedule, and we'll just see where everything comes out. But kind of to repeat what Ed said, we did essentially the same thing. Books weren't really shipping for the last 2 months during COVID. So we had a bunch of reorders sitting around, and we placed multiple orders, and we didn't get them at all. So it took almost a month to finally get one shipment to restock everything. But Diamond was great. We went ahead and canceled a bunch of stuff that we just weren't sure would sell 3 or 4 months later. But yes, the new schedule, the comic guys are pretty open. They hear that it's not coming out, pushback, and they're okay. I'm sure most of the comic community is aware that a lot of the books are now going digital. And we've had to mention that to a few customers who've come in the last few days, that the comics they're looking for will not be seeing print anymore. So that's a new a dynamic that we're getting used to, and we'll see what happens. And also, I know DC Comics have been getting a lot of negative press as of late of their business practices, but on the other hand, they made a lot of their comics returnable also. So although they have a different business plan, they are helping us out by making them returnable, and that helps us out. So we have increased our orders on that end. But hey, you know what? To ask Christy a question, if I can ask. Hey, sure. Christy, are you selling a lot more digital copies of your books?
It's weird. Okay, so I've been building up my online, and generally, no. It's funny because a lot more people are wanting print. I think because like for a while they were lacking human interaction, or that was the only way they could get a book from me. Some of them did buy through Amazon directly, but there were people that bought from me online because they wanted my signature. And I'm not saying that to be arrogant, but like I had other things like pins and stuff. Like, so to get a book signed by me, it was just only $5 extra for shipping and handling. And I just would sign it and I send it to them amongst other things. And then they'd be like, oh yeah, this is great. You know, and I think it made people happy because they could touch a book and they could feel it. And then they could like just somehow feel like they were interacting with me because they were missing cons, like both creators that bought from me or just fans that bought from me. But I mean, I know people like if they just didn't know who I was, they could at least like take a taste of the book. So some of them are PDF, but not a lot. It's mostly like it's like more print matter.
Okay. Cool.
Well, so what? PDF just a half hour ago, or 40 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Good. The reason why I ask is I just want to say, hey, Marvel DC, people like them in print, okay, not digital. So there we go. Oh, there's a proof is right there.
Plus, the more attachments people have to the creator, the more they want it in print because the signature means something, the process means something. I think people buy print comics a lot of times because they want to own something by that person. And PDF just doesn't do it.
Yeah, I know. Like,
and that's actually what I was going to segue to you, June. Was that what is your opinion on the fact that they've taken away titles like Ghost Spider, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel at the last 4 and 5, and I can name other ones, but I mean overall, how do you? And I'm going to be asking you this also, Ed and Christy. How do you feel that they no longer offer these options of being able to hold a hard copy of something and going digital only?
I know the world has changed, industry has changed, and we have to adjust. That's a little bit difficult for a few of the customers who have mentioned it, in that they've already committed and purchased the hard copies of the earlier issues, and they have never purchased a digital comic. So now asking them, the rest of them are digital, they were very unhappy. I think it would have been nice to at least offer and finish the series in print. And if they want to offer something digital, you should start that from the beginning, and then you can see what the demand will be. But forcing them to finish a series by buying digital, I'm not a fan of that. Do I think down the road comics are all going to be digital? Who's to say? We don't see much newspapers or magazines. Is that where the industry is eventually headed? Maybe, but I don't think it's the time now. And but telling customers, yes, you're not going to be able to finish it here in the store, and sending them to somewhere else to purchase it, how does that support your local retailers? And we're the ones who are passionately out there pushing different titles and actively engaging with the customers. So I think that's where it's a little bit tough, and we kind of lose that support. It gets to be a little difficult to run the business. So that's my take on that.
Well, also I've kind of noticed too, it's like they'll eventually put it into an anthology comics graphic novel anyway at some point. So it's sort of like you will get it in print, but I think it is kind of a dick move that they say, oh yeah, you can't finish it up in paper form or in physical form, because like people also buy variants. People also they want the original so they can collect it. That's the point of it. And the thing is that between newspapers and comics and magazines, newspapers and magazines are transitory. So it's sort of like they kind of like, you buy it, you read the news, and you throw it away. You don't necessarily save it unless it's something very, very, very significant. Now with comics, like you collect them, you keep it around. So I think that's sort of, I understand what they're trying to do, but I think it's sort of, cut your nose to spite your face with that. It's like they're missing out on that additional revenue with print. And I wouldn't be surprised that at some point later on, if I'm seeing like how the trend is in humanity with this, they're going to say, well, never again, we'll never do it. Okay, here. So that's just how it's been. So I just think they'll probably delay it. They'll probably go like, well, it's not. And if they get enough shit from fans, they'll probably print it, So fans go get shit for it.
So I agree with both of you, but I also have a slightly different take, I think. It really depends what their reason is for what they're doing. I understand if it's a financial reason and those comics are no longer feasible to be published, I get it. But I'm also one of those people who like always looks at who benefits from it. And if they wanted to push customers towards digital, that would be a really good way to get some of the people to do this. There's also been some analysis done online by retailers, which says that while those comics that they canceled are probably the lower selling comics, they're also the kind of comics that are being bought by our biggest customers. Meaning this, if you're a Spider-Man fan, you might collect the main titles. If you're an old school fan who is a completist, who does everything and wants everything, you're the guy collecting Spider-Girl and Ghost Spider and all the other stuff. So the people who are collecting those books are the fans who are spending the most money in our stores. And taking those people and trying, at least attempting to get them to buy digitally, and those fans tend to be older, which means they probably haven't tried digital, and it seems a little precarious right now to try to get them to go and try digital, and something is going off in my head saying it's not just because it's financial reasons. Now I understand that some books are like Marvel's done some interesting stuff where they canceled a bunch of their variants and a bunch of reprints and all that stuff. Those to me seem like financial decisions, meaning those books don't sell enough to print in small numbers at this point because printers are probably inundated with a bunch of orders as the industry catches up. And so you have to give priority to books that sell more. And that makes sense. By putting the last issue of House of Secrets or whatever it is on digital doesn't make any sense because you're literally leaving that one completist who's literally now going to rack his brain why he has the whole run without that one copy and pissed off at your brand is not a good idea.
So, and to cap that off, and basically I'm that guy. The guy that you just basically described, that's me. And as far as things like Star, Ant-Man, and these things that they decide that they want to stop like that, and that they have announced that they are going to complete them in trade, I'm not going to reward those companies. I am not going to buy the trade. I am not going to buy it for the reasoning of that I feel that they believe that they can go ahead and then halfway through the story decide that they want to shift the tide. I feel like my patronage to them is been spat on in the sense of I've been there. I'm that completionist. I give them the money, but they decided midway that they didn't really care about me. They thought I was secondary. So I can't in good faith give them money on a trade and or a digital and say, it's okay. I understand that you weren't making enough money and here's some more. I can't do that.
Yeah, they think of their product as a commodity and just numbers and just a bunch of widgets where they're not. There's feelings assigned to them. And that's what they're not understanding. And the guy who's beating, like, I love Hawkeye, the Rosenberg series. I absolutely love that series. And I'm not going to read it digitally. When the trade comes out eventually, I'll sit down and read those issues, but I am in a unique position where I don't have to buy it. You know, if I already bought those issues and now had to rebuy the trade, I would be pissed off too. We're considering options, by the way, on our company level, for people who currently have subscriptions to those books to offer them the graphic novels at the discounted price, even at cost, just to put my own foot forward and say, I'm sorry you already had to buy these books. I can't make up for it, but I'm going to offer you the book at cost if you pre-order it from us because I feel like I owe you at least that much.
Again, I just want to tell the community that's an exemplary reason why we still need brick and mortar shops. Is you just heard an individual say, look, I'm willing to take the hit for the community to get them the quality product that they desire, even though it might not be in the context that they want it in. And that you're not going to find that at a major, you're not going to find that at a major place. And when I mean a major place is you buy digital, they don't care. This is why you spend your money with a brick and mortar shop. So, hey, June, what I'd like to ask of you next is this. Now that getting back.
Kevin, hold on a sec, if I may. Ed put me on the spot. He's going to offer his customers at cost. So what I might do, and I'm thinking about it, when the trade comes up, I'm going to tear out those issues that they're missing, and I'm going to hand them the copies of those pages that they're missing. How's that? Are
you going to glue the covers back on?
All right, I'm gonna tear
That's
those pages
awesome.
out, give it to them for free. How's that?
Hey, June, feel free to steal my idea. It's okay.
All right.
Oh my God.
All right. No, sorry, Kevin. Let's go back to your question there.
Yeah, no. Now that we're getting back into the industry, one, what are you going to be your practices moving on forward in the sense of we all know that there's going to be a bigger influx of people coming back into the shops like they used to be. We all want to kind of get back to having these signing events at your guys' stores. Have you kind of figured out how you're going to be conducting business in the next few months?
Well, we've been, just kind of cautiously looking at what events will be coming up in the future. Right now, the only thing we're worried about is what kind of customers are coming in currently, and we've been very surprised as to the demand and the interest in a lot of our customers coming back. So now, in the next week or so, we can start discussing what options for the signing. The signing is just a little bit. It's hard to see how to conduct these, considering when we do events, we have a lot of people come in. That's still something we're just not going to see yet. I don't know if I'm comfortable with allowing a bunch of people getting in line and waiting for a signing, or exposing the artists to to a bunch of people, showing up whether they're masked or not. Not everyone has a hardy, invulnerable constitution like Christy does, where nothing will kill her. But some of the artists out there might want to be a little careful out there. So I think we want to do signings down the road. I think Christy might be one of the early ones, and we'll test it out on her, and we'll see what happens. But yes, we absolutely want to have people come in, and some of the creators who come in on Wednesdays, we're kind of asking what the plan is. But you know what? To be honest, we don't know. Ultimately, safety is the number one issue. And as every week goes along, we'll see how people are comfortable with coming in. And we'll hopefully in the next few months, maybe we'll have, Alan Moore show up after Christy.
Well, probably, I'm thinking probably in the first 2 weeks, because I've been noticing people have been kind of analyzing the safety every 2 weeks or every week. So I think probably after mid-June, we'll probably figure out if it's like they're going to be more bold or not. I'm thinking of the more bold, because that's just how the current trend is. I know there's like always this kind of fear of reinfection, but I think as more life events unfold, I think that's not occupying people's minds so much. I'm not trying to minimize it. I'm just noticing a trend in general voicing and in the thing. It's like, well, we just have a bunch of riots right now, so let's go to a comic store because, hey, it's kind of like you need to forget.
That's what I'd actually rather be. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just like I think it's just a matter of like after this. I think it's just essentially also too, just with all the stuff that's been building up for the last few months. I think this is kind of the pressure valve release, and we're kind of probably coming back down to normal. I think probably next week, and then we'll reassess that. But I wouldn't be surprised until mid-June things start getting actually back to more normal more and more.
Yes, same here. I mean, so the day before this whole thing started, that Wednesday, I had a signing scheduled with J. Michael Straczynski for Resistance, the true story of how these things can go. The comic book that came out that was prophetic kind of in a way. And Joe's people called me and said, Joe's people called me and they were like, well, Joe's no longer feels safe. He's 70-something years old. He doesn't want to sit there and have, shake hands with a bunch of people. So we'll postpone the signing until this whole thing is over. So I hope I can do that soon. Again, I'm thinking of safety, obviously. That's the most important thing. This whole first week was like, on Wednesday, I was like, let's see how many people show up. I mean, we blasted like crazy on social media, but let's see how many people show up. And at the end of Wednesday, we're like, oh, holy crap, a bunch of people showed up. But those are Wednesday warriors. They always show up. Let's see what happens on Thursday and Friday and Saturday. And I'm looking at my numbers on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and people showed up. And surprisingly, the numbers are good. But we'll see if that enthusiasm continues, or the fear being inside a store with a bunch of people, if that fear takes over and the numbers go down. We don't know where we're at. We also ordered comics 3 weeks ago thinking we're going to be closed down, so we didn't put a lot of money into shelf sales, because what shelf sales? And all of a sudden we were open, right? Who thought the California, local city LA government would actually be brazen and open things early. I thought it was going to take longer, way longer.
Right.
So right now we don't have a lot of stock. So we're reordering in advance and look at our numbers and trying not to panic and reordering books to make sure we have books on the shelves. But that's what I care about right now. Signings will happen when the time is right. I mean, June and I both have very good social media outreach, but based on that, we could always reach our customers when the time is right. So I don't worry about it right now. It's not a priority right now. I mean, the whole, like, one of our stores is really big into magic. We do weekly magic events several days a week. It was quite a bit of people, and we had to stop that completely, obviously, for many reasons. And again, we're not worried. We're not even thinking about relaunching. It's way too early. It's way too early to consider that.
Mm.
You know,
just want to give a community a feel that way, because there's been a lot. How should I say? More times than not, as we well know, we end up seeing people would rather speculate than actually do the research on their own and figure out, information. So I have found that there are many people on the YouTube channels where we're finding greater desire to speculate as opposed to do what I'm doing right now and just finding a couple shop owners and speak with them and actually squash certain myths or rumors that were just kind of flying around there. So you had brought a good semblance to the community and having them understanding of what to expect, especially in some of the more constringent places. I mean, you have to admit we're here in LA and we have to abide by a little more populist means. You know what I mean? We got so many people here.
Yeah.
So we got to be kind of erring on the side of caution at times. So it was a way for me to contact and get together with you to convey to the community on, one, where the business was before all this was happening, which I always felt it was strong. Two, how you've been able to manage throughout this time, which I'm grateful that you guys have been able to sustain the business and do well. And then three, what your practices were going to be after which that we started opening and then into the future, which this is the best window that we have for right now, because as we all know, nothing is definite. So with that, gentlemen, I appreciate you being on. Christy, as always, I am so grateful for being here. From me at 1-2 Comic Talk, thank you, people. I appreciate you.